Good day. My name is Lara van Niekerk. I'm from the CSR, and me and my co-authors would like to tell you a little bit more about our country-level ecosystems accounts for estuaries that we've developed and some of our experiences with this transitional realm. The accounts are basically extent and condition accounts. I'd also like to draw your attention to my co-authors, Susan Talliard and Janine Adams from NMU, Stephen Lambeth from DEF, and Stephen Weerts also from the CSR. A little bit of background on the process here. Since 2014, Stats SA with SANB has been developing ecosystems accounts for South Africa. And as part of this global initiative, CSR decided to investigate as part of the parliamentary grant in collaboration with DEF and NMU to pilot these ecosystems accounts for the estuaries realm using the global framework. Most of the information we've used for these accounts comes from the 2018 National Biodiversity Assessment, so we use readily available information in this draft accounts or developing these accounts. And also we decided to focus on the ecosystem scale, condition and extent account. The report is available on the CR website if anybody is interested, also on the SANB website and available from CSR. Thank you. The estuary accounts were divided into 5 basic types of accounts, starting off with the ecosystem scale extent accounts, using the estuary functional zone as basic unit of analysis. Then we had the condition account across all the estuaries. Again, expresses the percentage of the estuary functional zone. We had ecosystem pressure accounts, which we subdivided into those accounts reflecting the impact of human activities such as flow and pollution on the estuaries, and also looked at biological invasions of fish and plants. Then we experimented with ecosystem services and developed a set of habitat accounts, which then could flow into carbon sequestration. And we also had some species account looking at important fishery species, for example. In terms of the extent account, I won't be going into detail because it's just a short session, but this is an example of an extent account. We divided the estuaries into the different types: estuarine lakes, estuarine bays, lagoons, permanently open systems. We provided the extent of these systems in total and also subdivided it by bioregion. Then we reflected change. In this case, the bulk of the change was a type swap in the case of Umhlatu's Richards Bay, and then developed the closing accounts. Carrying on in terms of the condition account, we use the same categories: estuarine lakes, bays, lagoons, giving an indication of the different types, the full extent, and then we looked at the categories as we had it in the National Biodiversity Assessment: natural, near natural, moderately modified, heavily modified, and critically modified. And then we calculated the percentage extent in which each of the different categories of estuaries are presently occurring, reflecting the change as we've captured it in the National Biodiversity Assessment. The pressure accounts is in fact a measure of the vectors of change in estuaries, and the key things that we captured here was changes in water resource development, fishing, wastewater, discharges into estuaries, and artificial breaching. And again, we indicated the total volume which is coming from the pressure or getting discharged or extracted from the system, the number of estuaries being affected by this pressure, and then the level of pressure on the number of estuaries. So in this case, for argument's sake, we've indicated here the volume of water that's currently been extracted from estuaries. Most estuaries are experiencing some sort of a development pressure and then, but at the same time also reflecting that most estuaries aren't under severe pressure in this category. In terms of the habitat accounts, we basically looked at botanical habitats, and not all habitats. We focused on mangroves, intertidal salt marsh, supratidal marsh, submerged macrophytes, and reeds and sedges. Our baseline for South Africa is 1930 to 1940 based on our first aerials, but we didn't have a national data set as yet. We are working on that. And then finally, we also captured in the closing account 2018 as we have it in the National Botanical Database. Again, subdividing the habitat types across the biogeographical regions. In terms of species account, we only focused on recreationally important species and also charismatic species. We gave an indication of the extent, and so we differ here from international methodology in the sense that in reality, species do have a physical extent. Many of the extent accounts for stock actually treat biomass as extent, but this is actually incorrect because under climate change we could have range extensions in future, and we should be reflecting the actual extent of the stock. Then we also looked at nursery function, recruitment signal, high fishing pressure on important nursery areas, and national stock status as indicators. Again, reflecting then the change, how much of the functional nursery area is still under good condition, how much of the recruitment signal using MIRS properly is still reaching the systems, how much of the important nursery areas are under high fishing pressure, what is the national stock status, and what is the IUCN threat status captured for these species. Moving forward, we will be collaborating with NMU on refining the habitat and carbon accounts. We are working towards, especially the carbon sequestration at the moment. We've got a GIZ NMU DEF project refining it. We are collaborating further with data on the species account and incorporating more aspects. We need to strengthen our links with the monetary accounts moving forward. We're involved in a community of practice oceans accounting framework, testing the framework on Algoa Bay estuaries, and then also looking at Sandby, which is developing marine accounts, and how do we nest the estuaries in that. And finally, we hope to incorporate these accounts into the SA formal series going forward. Thank you very much for listening to me.